Just few days ago, and I came to talk about nurses in the UK and elsewhere that are planning on moving to the US just a few days ago. In the video, I explained what the EB3 visa is. I explained what the H1B visa is. I explained that the EB3 visa, there's retrogression. It could take you up to 3 years plus to be in a queue before you get to the US. And I explained that there's a shorter pathway which is called the H1B visa. However, with that one, you don't get a green card automatically when you get there, and your spouse may not be able to work immediately when you get there. I explained that that process is much shorter and it can take about 6 months, so you can get there faster. So ladies and gentlemen, if you have ambition to move to the US in the near future, the current wait time is 28 months after your employer has filed your petition for you, the I-140 immigration petition. After they have done that, the current wait time is 28 months. 28 months. Now, there's another alternative. Okay, the other alternative is the H1B visa. If you use that one, you're probably going to get in the US in about 6-7 months max, right? But the negative part about that one is that when you get there, your dependents are going to be on H4 dependent visa or something like that, like your spouse and your children, and they will not be allowed to work. Your spouse is not eligible to work under that visa. And lots of people were even saying that it's not that bad. In the comment section, I remember this gentleman or this guy was saying that it's not that bad. That's what he used or that's what she used, and she's currently in the US, and the spouse was able to get a job after a short while. It's not that bad. So in my mind, I sent this person a text message. I'm like, you have to let me interview you. Okay, tell us more. In my mind, I'm like, let me maybe convince my husband that we should go to the US on the H1B visa, and then in the process, if this guy is saying that it wasn't too bad for the spouse to get a job, it didn't take that much time, maybe my husband could consider. And so it's being on my mind right now. It was as if Donald Trump watched the video and said, you guys stop that. Now, what has he done? President Trump signed a proclamation on September 19th. 2025. And this proclamation came into effect September 21st, 2025. So a few days afterwards, what did he sign? He says now every employer would have to pay a whopping $100,000 per any new H1B visa petition. For any new H1B visa petition that they file for a foreign personnel living outside the US. They didn't say Africa, they said outside the US. Now, let's make this clear. This does not apply to those that are extending their H1B visas. It doesn't apply to them. This does not apply to those that are renewing their H1B visas. And this does not apply to all H1B visa petitions that were filed before the September 21st date. So the proclamation was signed on September 19, 2025. It came into effect September 21st, 2025. Now, somebody will ask, why did Donald Trump do this? So simply put, President Trump wants to make it very expensive for employers in the US to recruit foreign personnel. He wants them to focus on recruiting these people from within the US. Because imagine if you're going to apply for H1B visas for 10 foreigners every year as a company, now it's $100,000, okay, dollars per person. That's per foreign personnel you're trying to file for to come and work for you outside the US, from outside the US, right? Now, 10 people times 100,000, just do the maths. How many companies will be willing to part with this money just to recruit 10 people? They're not going to do it. So it looks like he's trying to cut down this particular pathway. Now, unless the company is really in dire need and that particular person is exceptional in whatever that they are going to do in the US, then maybe they will still go ahead and even regardless of the 100,000, still pay, right? Or maybe they can say that when you come to the US, then you pay them in bits or something like that as a person. I don't know about all of that, but basically this is what's going to happen. Now, the thing is, for nurses, the common pathway that nurses were using was not this H1B visa. Nurses were coming with going to the US with the EB3 visa. That's the employment-based visa. The only problem is that there's retrogression, and this takes a long time. At the moment, like I said, the current wait time is about 3 years. Okay. Now, because of this retrogression and because of this backlog, now people are now using the H1B visa because it's much shorter. Although it doesn't come with permanent residency, they were okay because it will let them get to the US much faster and start making US money much faster. Now we have this. The kind of profession that was commonly using this H1B visa route were IT and software developers. That was like the major pathway that they were using. Engineers, we talk about civil engineers, mechanical engineers, electrical engineers. This was the main pathway that they were using. And in healthcare as well, some doctors and, like I said, some nurses were using this pathway as well. In the finance sector, analysts were using this, and accountants as well were using this pathway. When we come to academia, a lot of professors were using this pathway as well. So all of these are the people that are going to be affected, but mainly IT and software developers the most affected. Now, a lot of people are asking that lots of people that go to the US on international student visas, as international students, usually when they are done and they want to work in the US, this is the visa that they go for. They go for the H-1B visas. The good thing about their situation is that because they're already in the US and they're only transitioning from a student visa, international student visa, the F1 visa, to the H-1B visa, this $100,000 fee does not apply to them. Remember, this $100,000 fee is for new recruits coming from outside the US. Now, when it comes to nursing job interviews, recruitment managers and nurse managers often draw from the same set of core questions. They don't set new questions every time. It's the same pool of questions. Sometimes they word them differently or they rephrase them differently, but ultimately they're assessing the same key skills and qualities. Now, to help you prepare, I have developed a free UK nursing interview cheat sheets for you to download with carefully selected sample questions and sample answers, okay? But just make it sound natural. You can use the link below to download it for free, access it, and then use that to prepare for your next nursing interview, or just have a look through, okay? And this will give you the best chance to succeed in your next nursing interview. Thank me later. So if you're in the US already as an F1 student and you're only doing change of status, you're only switching visas, just change of status, you're not likely to pay this. So for them, they're exempted. But I've heard people say that when they have to travel outside the country and they are coming back, they will need now to apply for H-1B visa, and that is where they may need to apply. But that part is not so clear, guys. Have a much clearer explanation to that part, please comment below. Now, another good thing is that this new rule, it has an expiry. So this new rule is only in existence for a year, okay? So this new rule will expire by September 2026. Now, when it expires, we don't know if President Trump is going to extend it or he's going to say it's enough, okay, and then, you know, let it be. We don't know. Now, this is the rumor. A lot of people are saying that, you know, Donald Trump visited the UK recently, right? And then when he visited the UK, people are saying that he sort of like probably got to know of the 800,000 people that are likely to get permanent residency in the next 4 to 5 years and are likely to apply for benefits, and it's going to cost the country so much money. And you know, Donald Trump's friend is Mr. Nigel Farage, right? And so people are saying that probably Mr. Nigel Farage said that he gave him that his 230 billion pounds amount that he said it will cost the country if they give ILR. So now, because Mr. Trump visited the UK between September 16th and September 18th, and he made the proclamation September 19th, they are saying that this is the Nigel Farage influence, because Nigel Farage is scared that if you don't cut your work visa in a way, your country is going to be like ours very, very soon. Now, this is what we are battling with, because imagine you visit the UK 16th to 18th September, 9th September, you're signing this huge thing, 100,000 a year. Any new HB1 applicant, foreign national from outside the US, employer has to pay this amount. But obviously, we don't have any proof that this has anything to do with him visiting the UK. So now, this is the summary. President Trump has signed a new proclamation stating that employers in the US, if you want to recruit a foreign national on the H-1B visa, which is the work visa, you should pay $100,000 for that one individual, okay? And this rule or this new proclamation is in effect for 1 year. So hopefully it's going to end in 6. However, we don't know. He could likely extend it. It could be lasting until he's no longer president. We don't know for sure. But for now, it's in place for just 1 year. Now, this effect came into place in September 21st of this 2025. Now, if your H-1B visa petition was filed prior, then you don't have any issues, okay? But for any new applications after September 21st or on September 21st, this applies. Definitely, this is going to cut down on foreign recruitment to the US on the H-1B visa. Most people going to have affected are IT and software developers. We know that lots of nurses, we go through the longer routes, which is the EB3 visa, which can take up to 3 years waiting time because of retrogression. And now, not lots of employers are going to want to spend over $100,000 for one person. Who are you to bring you? Imagine if they recruit 50 foreign personnel every year. Multiply that, it's not going to happen. So now, if for your job role or your profession, the only pathway that you guys were using was the H-1B visa. But let me tell you that some of these things, they are not permanent. I remember in President Trump's, his first time in office, when he was the president for the very first time, I remember there was a time that Nigerians were not even going to the US because of some of these things that he put in place at the time. But fast forward, he was no longer president and Joe Biden came and everything went back to normal. And then he's come back and he's making all of these changes. Recently, he said if you're from Ghana and some other countries, if you're going to the US, you are only going to get a 3-month single entry visa. Just recently, it's been overturned. So now Ghanaians are still going to get 5 years, multiple entry US visas. It's being overturned. These things are not permanent, but make sure aware of what's going on. If you know of any US immigration officer or lawyer and you're an employer in the US and you want to recruit people, you should have to just let them know if there are any other pathways that these people can, come to the US. And if you're on an F1 visa and you're now changing status in the US, you're safe. But speak to an immigration advisor if you need to travel out and come back in. Unnecessary travel at this point is not necessary. But like the name says, it's not necessary. It might not be important because you may lose your status. For us nurses and all of that, now it's not likely that you're going to go with H1B visa. If you did not go, now it's too late until this thing comes to an end. We have to stay for the 3 years after our EB3 visa has been applied for. Stay for the 3 years plus until the queue gets to our 10 until we get our EB3 visa. I feel like traveling outside is getting tougher. Nobody wants us anymore. Migrants. It's really sad. Even the UK, the legal migrants, now they're making things very tough for us. NHS trusts have stopped recruiting foreign trained nurses because lack of funds. The UK government is thinking of changing ILR qualifying period from 5 years to 10 years, even for legal migrants. They're making things very, very tough. Canada, there are a lot of universities can no longer now sponsor students, foreign students to come. They're cutting down on student visas and all of that. It's like now nobody wants us. It's like migration is becoming tougher each time. Now at this point, we just have to tell our leaders back home that they should make our countries where we would want to be, because at this point nobody wants us. It's like, it's so sad. But anyway, it is what it is. Guys, let me know your thoughts in the comments section, okay? When it comes to US immigration, I am not so knowledgeable about it like maybe I am about the UK. So if you have any other things that you want to add, or you want to come on the channel and share something very valuable, I am all in for it, okay? Thank you so much for watching. Bye. Hi, President Trump.